Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana-shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Namaha Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharane Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyatya Deshatarane. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Shri Gaur Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhuvya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. So Hare Krishna, dear devotees, dear Prabhujis, we are reading from Bhagavad Gita as it is, chapter 2, contents of the Gita summarized. And we are going to read the 63rd verse. So another very beautiful verse in continuation with the 62nd verse. So Lord Shri Krishna, he continues and he says to Arjunji, Krodad bhavati sammoha, sammohat smriti vibhramaha, smriti bhramshad buddhinasho, buddhinashat pranashyati. So very, very beautiful verse. Krodad bhavati sammoha, sammohat smriti vibhramaha, smriti bhramshad buddhinasho, buddhinashat pranashyati. क्रोधात् भवति सम्मोहा सम्मोहात् स्मृति विभ्रमः स्मृति भ्रंशात् बुद्धिनाशो बुद्धिनाशात् प्रणश्यति. क्रोधात् from anger, bhavati takes place, sammoha perfect illusion, sammohat from illusion, smriti of memory, vibhramaha bewilderment, smriti bhramshat after bewilderment of memory, buddhinashaha loss of intelligence, buddhinashat and from loss of intelligence pranashyati falls down. So very beautiful verse. From anger delusion arises, and from delusion bewilderment of memory. When memory is bewildered, intelligence is lost, and when intelligence is lost, one falls down again into the material pool. So very beautiful verse. Krodhat bhavati sammoha. From anger delusion arises. Sammohat smriti vibhrama, and from delusion bewilderment of memory. Smriti vibhrama. Smriti bhramshat. When memory is bewildered, buddhi nasho, intelligence is lost. Buddhi nashat pranashyati. And when intelligence is lost, one falls down again into the material pool. So very beautiful verse, and the purport Swami Srila Prabhupada writes, by development of Krishna consciousness, one can know that everything has its use in the service of the Lord. Those who are without knowledge of Krishna consciousness artificially try to avoid material objects, and as a result, although they desire liberation from material bondage, they do not attain to the perfect stage of renunciation. On the other hand, a person in Krishna consciousness knows how to use everything in the service of the Lord. Therefore, he does not become a victim of material consciousness. For example, for an impersonalist, the Lord or the absolute being impersonal cannot eat. Whereas an impersonalist tries to avoid good eatables, a devotee knows that in Krishna, that Krishna is the supreme enjoyer and he eats all that is offered to him in devotion. So after offering good eatables to the Lord, the devotee takes the remnants called prasadam. Thus, everything becomes spiritualized and there is no danger of a downfall. The devotee takes prasadam in Krishna consciousness, whereas the non-devotees rejects it as material. The impersonalist therefore cannot enjoy life due to his artificial renunciation, and for this reason a slight agitation of the mind pulls him down again into the pool of material existence. It is said that such a soul, even though rising up to the point of liberation, falls down again due to his not having support in devotional service. So very, very beautiful verse. Krodhat bhavati sammoha. So in the previous verse, Lord explained how contemplation on material sense object leads to the development of desires, material desires, which leads to the development of lust, and Lust leads to the development of anger. Even if one fulfills the material desires, the new desires generate. Material desires are never satisfied. The senses and the mind, they are actually seeking spiritual sense enjoyment, spiritual satisfaction. So even if material desires are satisfied, if one tries to satisfy the material desires by serving the senses, then also new desires come up and one is frustrated. So frustration, too much of frustration, it leads to anger. And now Lord Shri Krishna, he is further explaining krodhat bhavati sammoha. What anger leads to? So anger leads to sammoha. Swami Srila Prabhupada has given the meaning sammoha, perfect illusion. So when one becomes angry, so after that one attains delusion, the state of delusion. One comes in illusion. When one becomes angry, one comes in illusion. Krodhat bhavati sammoha. One comes in illusion, one attains the state of perfect illusion or delusion. So krodhat bhavati sammoha. Sammohat smriti vibhramaha. So smriti means memory. So when one becomes angry, one one achieves the state of delusion. And when one is deluded, when one comes in illusion, so it leads to sammohat smriti vibhramaha, bewilderment of memory. One's memory is bewildered. If one comes in illusion, if one comes in delusion, then his memory is bewildered. So krodhat bhavati sammoha. Sammohat smriti vibhramaha. One's memory is bewildered and sammohat smriti vibhramaha. Smriti bhramshad buddhinasho. If one's memory is bewildered, then it leads to the loss of intelligence. Buddhinasho. Smriti bhramshad buddhinasho. Smriti bhramshad. When memory is bewildered, it leads to buddhinashaha, loss of intelligence. Once intelligence is lost, one loses the power of discrimination. One loses the power of discrimination, what is right, what is wrong. So hence memory, bewilderment of memory leads to the loss of intelligence. So smritir bhramshad buddhinasho, and buddhinashat pranashyati. If one loses intelligence, if one loses discrimination, if one loses all good intelligence, then one is sure to engage himself in lower activities, in material engagements, which will lead to pranashyati, fall down. So very, very beautiful words. Lord Shri Krishna is trying to explain Arjunji, the process, how it all happens. So it all started with dhyayato. It all started with contemplation on material sense objects, and it finally leads to fall down. One by one, slowly, the contemplation on sense objects lead to development of attachment towards those sense objects, and attachment for them, for sense objects, leads to development of lust. Lust further leads to unsatisfied lust, or even if one tries to satisfy the lust, then lust is aggravated. Lust is not subjugated in that way. So it leads to frustration, anger, and anger leads to delusion. So krodhat bhavati sammoha, sammohat smriti vibhramaha. Anger leads to delusion, delusion leads to loss of memory leads to loss of intelligence, and the soul engages because of the loss of intelligence. The soul loses, the person, the living entity, pumshaha dhyayato vishayan pumshaha sangasteshu bhajayate. So pumshaha, the person, loses all discrimination and he engages again he falls down, he engages himself in material activities. So, krodhat bhavati sammoha, from anger delusion arises. Sammohat smriti vibhramaha, from delusion bewilderment of memory. Smritir bhramshat, smritir bhramshat buddhi nashoho, when memory is bewildered, intelligence is lost, and when intelligence is lost, buddhi nashat pranashyati, when intelligence is lost, one falls down into the material pool. So in the purport, Swami Srila Prabhupada explained that those who are trying to become perfect, those who are trying to renounce things, but they are unaware of the personal feature of the Supreme Lord, and they are unaware of their eternal constitutional position as servant of the Supreme Lord. So even if they try to control the senses, with a slight agitation, they will again engage themselves into material activities or sense gratification. So those who are not devotees of the Supreme Lord, those who do not know, even however strong yogi or however strong practitioner he may be, one who is trying to control the senses and mind by artificial means or by any other yogic process except devotional service to the Supreme Lord is sure to become a victim of material sense gratification today or tomorrow. So because unless senses are engaged in the service of the Supreme Lord, Swami Srila Prabhupada gave very wonderful example in the purport. Impersonalist, they think everything, they say the impersonalist, they also practice very severe austerities and penances to control the senses and the mind, and they consider the absolute as impersonal. They are unaware of the personal feature of the Supreme Lord. They do not have the complete knowledge. So impersonalist, they try to control their senses and mind by severe austerities and penances, and they engage themselves into various restrictions. They engage themselves into various processes, yam niyam, various processes of various yogas. But because they believe, they believe in soul and super soul, Brahma and Parabrahma, but because they consider the absolute as impersonal, so their philosophy, the impersonalists, they say Brahma Satya Jagat Mithya. Everything, all manifestation, what we are seeing is completely fake. But Vaishnavas, the Vaishnava philosophy says that everything has emerged from the absolute truth. So it is also, of course, this is not eternal truth, but it is temporary truth. So Vaishnavas, they do not consider this material world as completely fake or illusion, but they consider it as temporary reality because it has emerged, because everything has emerged. Of course, this material world is sometimes, it is said in the revealed scriptures as the dream of Mahavishnu, but Mahavishnu or the Supreme Lord, Lord Shri Krishna, because he is absolute truth, Param Satya, so everything which has emerged from him is actually Satya, but Vasudevam Sarvamiti, but it is temporary. So Vaishnavas, they understand very well that this place is asat, not completely asatya. So this place is temporary, it is temporary. And Vaishnavas, the impersonalists, they do not, Swami Srila Prabhupada gave the example, the impersonalists, they do not accept eatables because they say that one has to become free from eating, sleeping, mating, defending, which are all material activities, because this body, material body, we are not these bodies, they accept that fact. But they consider that the absolute truth is impersonal, is para-brahma, and hence they cannot understand that supreme being, the absolute truth, the highest form of the absolute truth. The last word in the realization of the absolute truth is personality of Godhead, supreme personality of Godhead, Bhagavan, who has got senses and who enjoy transcendental loving devotional service of his devotees eternally. So they cannot understand this, and they reject everything. Even they reject palatable dishes, eatables, just to control their senses. Because if the tongue will engage in sense gratification, then other senses will also demand the sense gratification. But devotees of the Supreme Lord, they know very well ki everything can be offered to the Supreme Lord with love and devotion. So devotees of the Supreme Lord, they offer nice palatable dishes, eatables to the Supreme Lord as bhoga, and the Supreme Lord also reciprocate, and he gives back the devotees his remnants of his foodstuffs, the bhoga offered to the Supreme Lord. He return it back to the devotees as prasada, and the devotees of the Supreme Lord, they accept prasada, by which they purify their senses by taking the remnants of the foodstuff of the Supreme Lord. Because everybody is a servant of the Supreme Lord, so devotees of the Supreme Lord, they accept this fact. And in Bhakti Yoga, they offer nice foodstuff to the Supreme Lord, and they accept the remnants. Hence, one is not deprived of sense gratification, but senses are not deprived, but senses gratify in real sense. That is the constitutional position of every living entity. To accept enjoyment which is given by the Supreme Lord. And the impersonalist, they do not believe in the personal feature of the Supreme Lord. Hence, they do not understand that the Supreme Lord is also, he has senses and he is the master of the senses, Rishikeshaha. And when devotees of the Supreme Lord, they accept the prasadam, so they also serve their own senses, material senses, and purify them by accepting the remnants of the foodstuff offered to the Supreme Lord. So they purify. Hence, devotee of the Supreme Lord, devotees of Supreme Lord engaged in devotional service, they are not deprived of sense gratification, but because impersonalists and other yogis, they try to repress their senses for sense control, they try to repress, they try to give up all material enjoyment because they want to merge in the effulgence, Brahman effulgence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So they give up everything, but because they are deprived, so their mind and their senses are always seeking sense gratification, and even a slight agitation can lead to their fall down, can lead to the yoga bhrashtaha, can lead to the destruction of whatever yoga practice they performed with those severe austerities and finances. So Swami Srila Prabhupada explained the purport about Yukta Vairagya. So devotees of the Supreme Lord, they are Yuktaha. They can possess everything, whatever exists in this material world, but anasakyasya vishayan, they do not have attachment for those things, because they know very well that everything belongs to the Supreme Lord and it is meant for the service of the Supreme Lord. So anasaktasya vishayan yatharham upayanjate nirbandhe Krishna sambandhe yukta vairagya muchyate. So the devotees of the Supreme Lord, they are situated in right vairagya, yukta vairagya. They can possess everything, whatever exists in this material world, but they possess things without attachment for them, because they know the concept, because they are situated in proper knowledge, they know everything, that Vasudevam Sarvamiti. Everything belongs to the Supreme Lord, and hence everything should be used for the service of the Supreme Lord. And one can enjoy whatever is being granted or whatever is being given by the Supreme Lord in reciprocation. A servant can enjoy whatever the master gives him as remuneration or as reciprocation, in reciprocation. Whatever the master gives, a devotee try to love the Supreme Lord, and the love in Lord also in reciprocation provide him necessary sense gratification in form of his prasadam or remnants. So yukta vairagya anasaktasya vishayan yatharam upayanjate nirbandhe krishna sambandhe yukta vairagya muchyate. So by development of Krishna consciousness, one can know that everything has its use in the service of the Supreme Lord. Devotees of the Lord, they know this very well, that everything has its use in the service of the Supreme Lord. Those who are without knowledge of Krishna consciousness artificially try to avoid material objects, and as a result, although they desire liberation from material bondage, they do not attain to perfect stage of renunciation. On the other hand, a person in Krishna consciousness knows how to use everything in the service of the Lord. Therefore, he does not become a victim of material consciousness. Because devotees are not attached, they know very well. So hence he does not become a victim of material consciousness. Material consciousness means one is forgetful of the Supreme Lord and he is trying to become Lord. He is trying to enjoy things independent of the Supreme Lord. He is trying to accept or enjoy the bhoga. But the devotees of the Supreme Lord, they know very well that everything belongs to the Supreme Lord, and hence they are not attached. Nirbandhe Krishna sambandhe anasaktasya vishayan. They do not have attachment or asakti for material objects, because they know everything has emerged from Vasudeva, everything belongs to him and it should be used for his service. So Swami Srila Prabhupada is wonderfully explaining, on the other hand, a person in Krishna consciousness knows how to use everything in the service of the Lord. Therefore, he does not become a victim of material consciousness. For example, for an impersonalist, the Lord or the Absolute, being impersonal, cannot eat. Whereas an impersonalist tries to avoid good eatables, a devotee knows that Krishna is the supreme enjoyer and he eats all that is offered to him in devotion. So after offering good eatables to the Lord, the devotee takes the remnant called prasada. Thus everything becomes spiritualized and there is no danger of a downfall. Not only there is any danger of any downfall, but the senses of the devotees, they become purified. They become purified by accepting the prasada of the Supreme Lord. So when a devotee engages in the devotional service of the Supreme Lord, the Supreme Lord also reciprocates, because he is a person. And that's what Lord Shri Krishna said in the previous verses, Param Drishtva Nivartate. So one is able to, a devotee of the Supreme Lord is able to give up sense gratification because he tastes or he experiences the reciprocation of the Supreme Lord in his devotional service. So Param Drishtva, by experiencing or by tasting the higher rasa, higher enjoyment, the spiritual enjoyment, one is able to give up the petty material enjoyment, which is very pale. In the previous purports we saw. So the devotees takes prasada in the Krishna consciousness, whereas the non-devotees reject it as material. Thus everything becomes spiritualized and there is no danger of downfall. The impersonalist therefore cannot enjoy life due to his artificial renunciation. So the renunciation which is not backed up by proper knowledge, by complete knowledge of the Absolute, such renunciation is termed as Falgu Vairagya, which is not real. So this is artificial, such renunciation, artificially trying to renounce things and trying to control senses and mind will lead to, it can lead to, one can get salvation or liberation, but there are chances because one is repressing. But it is also explained in Srimad Bhagavatam and other Vedic literatures that Aruhya Krichena Yat Param Padam Tata Patanti Adaho, those who attain impersonalist liberation, those who attain impersonal liberation, impersonalist, those who attain impersonal liberation, they also, because they do not get ananda, one gets ananda only by serving the Supreme Personality of Godhead. When one serves the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he gets reciprocation of the Supreme Lord. He gets loving reciprocation of the Supreme Lord, by which one get higher spiritual enjoyment, which fixes him in divine consciousness. But otherwise, impersonalists also, they come back in this material world and they try to engage themselves in service of other living entities unless they get complete knowledge that one is a servant of Supreme Personality of Godhead. And one tries to serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead, it is not possible to completely get situated in the in complete knowledge, in complete bliss, eternal life, Sachidananda. So one cannot situate himself, or one cannot get an eternal life full of bliss and knowledge of devotional service unless one engages himself in the service of the Supreme Lord, Vasudevaha, or Lord Shri Krishna. So therefore, cannot enjoy life. The impersonalist therefore cannot enjoy life due to his artificial renunciation, and for this reason a slight agitation of the mind pulls him down again into the pool of material existence. Buddhinashat pranashyati. So one falls down as explained by Lord Shri Krishna, therefore impersonalist cannot enjoy life due to his artificial renunciation, and for this reason a slight agitation of mind pulls him down again into the pool of material existence. So it is said that such a soul, even though rising up to the point of liberation, falls down again due to his not having support in devotional service. But those who have support of devotional service, they experience the higher rasaha, param drishtva, and because of that experience, they are able to become renunciants in real sense, because they know very well that everything belongs to the Supreme Lord, and Supreme Lord also reciprocates. When a devotee tries to serve the Supreme Lord with love and devotion, then the Supreme Lord also reciprocates. And when one experiences the higher rasa, spiritual enjoyment of the reciprocation of the Supreme Lord, so then one automatically gives up material sense enjoyment, or material sense enjoyment become very, very distasteful, become pale. So very beautiful verses 62 and 63rd in continuation. Dhyayato vishyan pumsa sangasteshu pajayate sangat sanjayate kama kamat krodho vijayate क्रोधात् भवति सम्मोहा सम्मोहात् स्मृति विभ्रमः स्मृति भ्रंशात् बुद्धिनाशो बुद्धिनाशात् pranashyati. From anger delusion arises, from delusion bewilderment of memory, from memory, when memory is bewildered, intelligence is lost, and when intelligence is lost, one falls down again into material pool. So those who are trying to become perfect without having knowledge of Krishna consciousness, or without serving the Supreme Lord with love and devotion, in love and devotional, in his, unless one is engaged in devotional service, so there are chances that one can fall back again in the material pool at any time. So very, very beautiful verse. In our next session we will try to understand the next verse. Till then I would like to stop this session here. जय विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्रजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर शत श्री श्रीमती शिवाइन के सभा चरणारविंद भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी श्रील प्रभुपाद जी की जय. All glories to His Divine Grace, Krishna Kripa Murti, Abhay Charnarvinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. All glories to Lord Shri Krishna, all glories to Bhagavad Gita, all glories to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, all glories to Holy Name, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Nitai Gaur Premanande, Hare Hare Bol, Hare Krishna.